Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the foe destroyed, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Saviour having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the one gone to thusness I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime reality, to the Dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy feel qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts. To you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms atoms in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Heart of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear at one time, the Bhagawan was dwelling on massive Vulture's mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagawan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perfection. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara: How should any son of the lineage train, who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise all phenomena are emptiness. without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on, up to and including no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable perfect complete enlightenment and reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as the truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Tayata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharadvatiputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Page 25. Short mandala. O sa shi peke jukshe me tok cham, ri rab ling shi ni de gan pai di, sangye shing du mi te uagi, troku nan dak shin la choka shok, jetsun la ma dam peke nam ki, choku ka la kien se chen jigne, jita tsam pe du che zin ma la, zab ye choki chapa bab tu so, Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. Sugi Chunam La Jengshu.
Chujin Jibe Sonam Ji, Dola Benji Sanje, Dobara Sho, Sanje, Chudon Soji Chona, Chanjo Bada Dani Jasam Chi, Dagi Chujin Jibe Son. Dola Benji Sanje, Dobara Sho, Sanje, Chudon Soji Chona, Chanjo Bada Dani Jasam. Dagi Chujin Jibe Sonam Ji, Dola Benji Sanje, Dobara Sho. Hangé de zéngi zéwé dáwá dányi bángwán yé dé méshén né dé dé. Wadám dé lá chán zé ngá dó nyé nyé jé sán dé ché bé lá chí jí sí dé khán ché dén dé gó yé chán dé bé. Sá wá dé sá ché dé lán dó ché hóng bán dé zé wé lá má rám bó ché dá lé ché wé bé mé dé ché né gó dé ché bé gó né ché sá. Gó sán dó ché ngó dó zé dé sá ché ché sím ché rám bó ché má ché bá ná ché 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 wá nyé. Gó né gó dé bé gó rá yé shó.
So please first start off with a good motivation meditation.
That go, rock go.
I now rejoice.
Tanga, Jews, Jabsra.
And then do the breathing exercise. No, do the breathing exercise 10 times.
Oh yeah. 다음도 단다 릭 남샤 주고네 릭된라 파와서디 로 다디나네 다기싱 뎀베트 마바데 도시마시 다드린 비진 북바당 둠바도 모해로 디시에레스타 죽베트나 네겁사디.
So now we've been looking at the sublime continuum, and we've been going through the 10 presentations, and so we've finished the first 5 up till now. So today we'll be looking at 6 and 7, which starts on page 127. So categories of manifestation and state.
다디 한델레고레스나 디리 난다디 조가스로 이와 투메 수지 땡지 땡르와 땡 다릭디 아니 태고침베 릭 산지 릭 세야데 갑디 응스셔야데 아니 라시네리 생기된 게 주니 디시고로 다 생기 주니데 아니 죽세게 땡르와 뭐죠 땡로데라 아니 데젠 카멘다 숨 용요 레스타 생기 주니 되르와 쇼사멘다 카숨 땡 죽다 죽베 랍디 야와스 라벤데 라신게릭도 라신게릭 동반이 생기는 게 동반이들이다. 먼저 생기는 게 동반이데 죽세다. 생기는 게 동반이데 에네 데려와서 개주로와 심디 계시로와 일에 땡땡바서 땡땡바 땡땡바 땡땡바로 먼저 이제 탭디 수시 디 탭을 땡바로 지상 탭디 수시디 탭을 땡바로 되나지 생기는 게 주니디 심라 땡바로 심라 땡사들라 네 죽단다 죽단네 컨트컨트 요레스타 디시고다 디 책디 코데로
So when we talk about the first one, the categories of manifestation, then we talk about it in terms of like the basis, right? So when we talk about the basis, we're talking about the rig, like you could say the nature, right? Or the Buddha nature. And within that, then there's 2 aspects. There's the naturally abiding nature, and then there's the generated nature. Or rig lineage, you could say naturally abiding lineage and generated lineage. So this naturally abiding lineage is the emptiness of the mind of the various beings. And within that then there's 3 divisions. There's the ordinary beings, there's the Arya beings, and then there's the perfect Buddhas. This is all on page 127 in that verse there. So this, like you have 2 things. You have the base and you have the aspect. So this base, for example, would be the mind of the being, and then the aspect would be the emptiness of that mind. So it'd be the same with any base you could use. You could say the base of the emptiness of this book is the book, and then the emptiness itself is the characteristic or the aspect of that. So in the same way, it works the same for these 3 types of beings. Alasa.
아델라도 수수교당 파과신당 조베 산제당이 땡 텔라 숨라서 내베 땡이 주바 당선데 세우도다 수수교라데 당저 동닝무스마도베 간산 탐제라 수수교소다 아주 도스레다 간산 탐제로 간산
노선토
그거 간산 탐제 간산 예제로 주되는 대전숨난도 그래
right
수수교 네 파과 산제스 지금나로 다 수수교라데 가래라서는 수수교라데 동닝무스마도베 간산 이나 수수교임다 대전진난도 그러다 람라 슈고이나레 가래이나레 람다 람라 슈고이나다 차오레 람라 슈고이네 다 초람 조람도 수수교래 초람 조람 창마 수수교래 어디 대전직 수수교사데 동닝무스마도니게 간산데 대전직다 먼저 심지 간산 담제 바길 숨날 샤레 바길 찍데 돈이 수수교래 찍데 파과래 찍데 산제래 다 수수교데 돈이 무슨 마도니기 간산데 차자 디나나 도래 다 디즈니워디라 당연히 어디지 교르잖아요.
Okay. So it then goes on to talk about suchness is located in bases such as ordinary beings, Arya beings, and perfect Buddhas. These are the manifestations of the base. So when we talk about this base, and therefore these three bases, all beings are categorized into one of these three: ordinary beings, Arya beings, or Buddhas. So the first, ordinary beings, encompasses everybody or every being who has not had a direct realization of emptiness. So all beings have to be one of these three. There's no being that is outside these three. And so this first category is anybody who doesn't have the direct realization of emptiness. Now, of course, people who aren't on the path, of course, they're all on the Dharma path. They're all of those beings are in this group. But even those on the first two of the 5 paths, the paths of accumulation and preparation, these are also considered ordinary beings because they don't have this direct realization of emptiness. So you could imagine like 3 buckets or baskets, and each being has to fit in one of those buckets.
That's the Joe said to news. The Pagwaladi, a curry Pagwares and a tick the Pagma, so the Joe let Chow the Pagwares. So the Joe let Chow Power Canderas and don't you Musum Dog in Zang, so the Joe let Chow the Pagwares, or the Dendidora.
So this Arya being, Pagpa is like to go beyond. So what are they beyond? Well, they're beyond being ordinary beings. And why is that? Well, it's because what distinguishes them is they have this direct realization of emptiness.
That Zogwe Sanjay dance and Zogwe Sanjay, Zogwa Bangdo Yuns Zogala. Don't you Musum Dog was a masse. And Zogwe Sanjay, Bangbatan, Dogbe Yunde Yuns Zogwa. And Sanjay said, the Sang said, Yomumba, the Shije, Devotamje, Juntamje, Pass Sang. Yunden Tata to Jedinjo, Tinde de la, and Zogwe Sanjay. Or they den or den sumla never, den sumla never denji Jubatang Sidanta. Don't you neseg den or the sumurda? Suzujo Jigche, Pagwa Jigche, Zogwe Sanjay, Tisumna Lata, Dinala Judoda, Den de la Judoda.
Tongni Gitin.
Don't you get den?
So then the third one is the perfect Buddhas. This word perfect, Zogpe. Zog is like, perfect is a good translation, but it has this connotation to complete, to be complete. Right? Or also to like, to run out. So it's like they've completed all the qualities and exhausted all the faults, right? And this is the Tibetan word Sangye, which is translated as Buddha, actually has 2 parts. So Sang is to like cleanse, and it means to have cleaned away all the delusions and any sort of faults. And Gye is to gather, right, or cultivate. And what have they gathered? It's all the qualities, all these perfect qualities. So these 3 types of beings are said to be the 3 bases for emptiness or suchness.
That in my young Yashin, Tishini said that Tishini is a Dongbani disorder. Tishini is or Dongbani disorder, that Dongbani de Tishini is the Dongbani de. That Dongbani de any Time Matawas. Tama the Tangi de Jidan Kansan, Sujo Power Kansan Laura. Tama days, ma days, things of the project. That don't need it. Any Time Matawatang, the Sujo Dongbani de. And to sing with the Dongbani de Time Matawar Esta. Ro Suzuju, Manzuju, sing with the Tony, Yora, Tony de. And Tishini to me Matawatan, the Katulation, Dongbani de Dip there to me Matawa dead there.
Matakpa.
To me Matawa, Timapa Matuaj dead there. So the Joe don't John Panto Yamaratanda. The Pawala Chojik the Teva said the Power Pawa the Chojik said the Nundi Pangba. Yamena Gunda Pamba. Chojik the Desiniro, Rick Nindu Dajan Bapawa the Nundi Pangba. Chojik said the she did the Nundi Chojik Nundi Gunda than Henji Chojik Gunda or the Chojik than Teva Tangs and the Duatamje Seve was the Duatamje Seva de 아니 산제 주지 네 주니데 디와 탐제 세베 아니 여와 숨데 네베 랍디 예베 주고에 디진이라 시고 심제라 네 예외님고 드마다 주에 디진이 된도 어세 심제 산제 이터베 신님 어디다
So when we talk about these three, it goes on to explain them. Suchness exists in these three types, namely the non-purification of defilement. Chimimitapa, or the non-purification of stains as well would be appropriate. So this refers to like a non-Arya being, the ordinary being we talked to before, who has not been able to purify the stains. And then the not falling to one side, the this falling to one side here refers to like the two of either the linky conduct, so the innate, the generated obscurations and the innate obscurations, or the obscuration, the cognitive obscurations and the afflictive obscurations are also another way to put it. Also the obscurations to liberation, the obscurations to knowing, as another translation of these cognitive and what was the other? Cognitive and afflictive obscurations. Thanks, Peter. Listen. Next time,
아데 셈지지 산제 탑에 시 닝부드바 네스로다 셈지지 셈란시 남바 타고디 인데스타 먼저 셈지지 셈지여라 그러게 아니 셈지지 셈지지 셈란시 남바 타고디 아니 산제다 닝부레 에스로와 가나미네고 다 단다데 셈란시 남바 타고서야데 셈지니 싱부딩이 주니를 샤워 싱부딩이 주니 셈지지 셈코나 단다 심기란시 대전이 쇼르 심기란시 왜 세바 선제 군섭지 차대에 심기란시 넘바 타고래 루비트메 데데로 다 단다데 동반이를 자고래 심기딩 추니디 아니 란시 넘바 타고래스 제가 김생 가래스 라베이나 소리 인데에서 김생 가래스나 간라 밍네에서 심제주 심기 추니들 밍네 와 심기딩 심기 추니 란시남다 슬라윈디 셈제디 싱기딩 추니를 코레 란시남다 세야데 싱기딩 추니를 코레 얘네 심로 코나 디그마레 제가 싱기딩 추니데 아니 델라 밍네서다 칸라 밍네서도 베제드 마로기로 치냐고 밍네 곰데 아니 산제 토베 최제베 중에 임베 도스다 심제드게 셈제주지 싱기딩 추니를 미 곰잡잡잡인데 아니 디와빵파 디와빵제 아니 산제 톱도 그래서 티인자 안 콜라야 산제 릭스 라우레스다
Okay. So if we look at the mental continuum of a sentient being, the natural purity of that is the essence of Buddhahood. And it goes on to say this: the essential basis for sentient beings to attain enlightenment is the natural purity within the minds of sentient beings, because through focusing and meditating on it, it becomes the sources that produces the qualities of the Buddha. So what's meant by this is this nature, this pure nature of sentient beings is the essence of Buddhahood. So when we talk about the nature of the mind of sentient beings, you can look at it in two aspects. One aspect, it is looking in terms of clear light, that being the nature of the mind, and the other one, the suchness of the mind is, or emptiness of the mind is another nature of the mind. Now, we need both of these in order to attain enlightenment, because through focusing on this and meditating and developing on it, this is how one develops one's mind up gradually through the focus on this natural purity. One develops up and slowly becomes a Buddha. So this suchness of the mind is necessary for us to be able to attain enlightenment.
저는 가르템버레라이나 다디 가르템버레라이나 디틱디 거의 전부래. 저 동니 레밍네 콤베드와 타요 마셔. 군조 먼저 심라 밍네 심다. 다 chanjuk simjigo gomdene dewa tugoyo marangzo. Tishingo tadi di karishinresna toni sanjewlo toni ngevade togora. Ta toni madana dewa tugoyo mare. 제가 아주 남존남존来 송거라 아니 자 니좀 chanjusim나 검제베 시베 자와죠 메네베 디지텐데도 베탈라베 아 디지텐데도 베탈라베스나 디지 춘이도 베탈라베스나 디요레스 니종다 chanju게 심라 콤바체베 이나양 산제 고만 토토고 마레스 윤젠데 인자 아니 돈이도 별로 돈이도 벌로 콤바체오레스 제르 뭐지 카세부 송도 그때단데 율라메나라 딘데 송도 데르데 돈이 레미네 공배 되고 다도 그러면 chanjuk 셈다 닝제다 람다 딘데 공제 되나 되고 다도고요 말이야. 제가 윤전인데 그래서 돈이다 돈이 녀와도 공고요래 돈 돈이 공부라 돈이 시고로 다 태우고로 그래서 암저 태우고로 럽전 쳐고로 제가 다디 디레스 가서래 특디 랍저 망고요 레스틸
So, the basis for attaining enlightenment is this emptiness, right? For this alone is what can finally purify the delusions, or the delusions. Because bodhicitta alone and the other aspects of the path alone is not enough to attain this state of enlightenment. What you really need to meditate on emptiness. And lamson
니중 chanjusim나 검제냐스 검바체네 검제 떡바제비네 니중 chanju고는 시베 자와죠 코웨 자와 방도 말했어
okay.
코웨 자와디 로 코웨 자와디 chanju심 검네 방도 말했어 람 검네 코웨 자와 방도 말했어 김데데 인자 돈이 공부를 해서
So as long as Tsongkhapa said in the three principles of the path, even if you generate the realization of bodhicitta and renunciation, this alone is not enough to go beyond the cycle of existence. So, what's meant by this is exactly what it said. He made it very clear that meditating on bodhicitta and renunciation, these other aspects of the path, alone is not enough to liberate from samsara or attain enlightenment. So, Lama Tsongkhapa made this extremely clear. And also in this Uttara Tantra, the Sublime Continuum, it's clarifying that as well, that, through just this bodhicitta and the other aspects of the path, it's not enough. You need to have this realization of emptiness in order to realize emptiness, you need to meditate on emptiness. In order to meditate on emptiness, you need to understand what emptiness is, and in order to do that, you need to study and learn about it. So this advice is actually very profound and very useful.
제단단데 먼저 표백에 라마 숭교도 카세우여래. 카세우도 남존남존을 인지미지 chanjusim나 돈이 chanjusim나 인지 검나 산제고 말에 돈이 또 그래서 치고나 세우도. 그런데 이 귤라만나라 되저래 데 돈이라 돈이라 민네 공배 되는 산제 공마 톱두고 레스 라비온데 다데 메시지 chanjusim나 인지 던데 공나 톱두고 말다스야.
Okay, implied, right. Right. So with the Tibetan lamas, they made things like very clear, right? Like, for example, Lama Tsongkhapa said very clearly, by meditating on bodhicitta and renunciation alone, this is not enough to attain liberation and enlightenment. And so in here, in the Uttara Tantra, it's a bit more implicit. So by saying that the essential basis for sentient beings attaining enlightenment is the natural purity within the mind of sentient beings, this implies that, meditating on renunciation, bodhicitta, is not enough. Although it doesn't specifically say it, it's implicit within this meaning.
곰곰곰네 산제 고마톱도 요인자 아니 가서 상말라 산제 토베야 그 누버여 바디다 싱기도 제단디 디 단다디 가서 릭 두부여라 릭 요베 탑시 셰거라 릭 요바데 두부르와 두윤데 다 돈이라 수수주 생고된 돈이라 믹제 아니 곰자기나 아니 디바타제 산제 고마톱으로 라본디 당한절라 산제 누버디 독스 다디 싱기도 아, 나 안절라 산제 누가 또 봐.
Mm.
다디 산제 그래. 데레다. 전다 데레다 시.
Right. So then also, it says here, because suchness with defilements categorizes the essence of the method to attain the complete Buddhahood of the conqueror, it is known as the essence of the conqueror. So, what does this mean? This means that because if we meditate on this nature and develop up and up and up, we can eventually attain enlightenment. So this shows that we have this power, right? To attain this fact that we have this power to attain enlightenment is a sign. That's a sign that we have this nature, this Buddha nature. This because through meditating on it, we can clarify mind and attain enlightenment. It shows clearly that we do have this potential, this power to become a Buddha.
다데 딜랍다. 제가 팀마다 제외 디신이 저와 양다고 산제 토베. 탑 닝부드와 임베 아니 개외 닝부 시조도 개외 닝부스도 산제 그리라고 그래. 예. 직세부터 돼.
Oh, okay. So
팀마다 제외스.
Yeah, I read this before. Because the suchness with defilement, so this 디서서 기보치고
디서서 저도 계좌야만 디릭 쉐어데 팀마다 제외 디신이 저와 양다 버서 산제 토베 탑지 닝부드와 임베 개외 닝부 시조도 개외 닝부스도 산제 그리데 레스 쉐데.
So we're just clarifying this. I'll read it again because we're clarifying it. Because the suchness with defilements categorizes the essence of the method to attain complete Buddhahood of the conqueror, it is known as the essence of the conqueror. So this essence of the conqueror here is also a synonym for Buddha nature.
다디 올라 다양자마 제르 쉐기요다. 디 올라 제셔 제바 쉐고라. 나디 저 토렌 뭐 제바도 마 쉐운디 칸데 쉐고선다. 수수주 주지스르와. 근데 어디 수수주 디신이 있으데. 다 디신이 수수주지 생구딩이 주니 돼서. 수수주지 디신이 있으데. 수수주지 생구딩이 주니 돼. 디베사메 중세 마방 바스다. 어다 다 마카세오 따라. 먼저 주 생구진이 디베사메 중세자 마방. 마방시 디메사베다 제와. 먼저 셈데라 디마게 요몽보다 되자다 시당이 디메사베다 사베 그 규진찬의 제초저 되대요레스. 대자마세 친지로당 제외 조베 산제 마인베 대망원수도 간산주 디신이래 도바데스. 아니 팀마마서 방시 팀에서 따데 되어로 되샤 친지로당 제바 당스. 어디 친지로 당한저 되게 생비 춘이데 아니 디베사메 중세장 마방마세. 아니 사면 마방 인자 사면데 된데 이거로. 대자마세 아니 간저 다 친지로 로단 된 간저 만차 임바데 마임바 통거래 마임바데 임바 통되게 요래 다 나란저 상로다 나란저 약보때 간저 베네 셰바데 참마 양다와 인팅게 요래 요 말아 간저 줄레 베데 록시 짱짱게 로 친지로게 제대가 인자 안 되자 시당 공도 가게 주미 이직 남도 요러 다 두즈 간저도 스팁 되요래서 딥 제대요래서
Okay. So if we turn over the page to page 128 and paragraph under the verse, it says, because suchness in the mind of ordinary beings has not abandoned a single seed of obscuration, and because it abides with the seed of defilement, it is with error. So this is talking about these ordinary beings, right? And these ordinary beings haven't abandoned any of the seeds of the delusions. Not a single one of these seeds of these delusions have been abandoned. All the seeds for attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth are all still there. They haven't been abandoned. So this is why it's said here it says with error. Chenji Lok could be seen as mistaken. So our nature is there, but because we haven't abandoned any of the seeds, because we still have the seeds of all these delusions and these defilements and so forth, therefore it's said to be mistaken. So we should be very careful, because we might think, oh, my understanding is valid. Like I have this very valid understanding, but in fact, it's not this way because it's mixed. All our understandings are mixed with the seeds of these delusions. So in this sense, that we are mistaken.
다드네 다니와디 셰레 조베 산제 마인 바서와 다디 산제 마인 바레스라 산제 마인 양 뎀방 웃음 통화 산제 마인 양 동반 웃음 통화 당 뎀바 신 웃음도 통화 당 산제 마인 베 뎀방 웃음도 통화 강상 주지스라 다 바괴 주지 디신이레 디신이데 아니 텔라도베 치마 세바데 빵요 마레스 이나양 치메사베 찌르고 빵요레스라 그다 박과 돈인 웃음도 사도 아니 군다가 사면 방도고래 윤디지 사면 방도에 다좀 반년도 다좀 받아서 윤디지 사면 방도고래 박과 통람당 공람도 저이나 더마 신시셰잖아요 고라 통람 공람도 저이나 군다가 사면도 방도고요 지리버 사야 돼 아니 년도 다좀 받아서 저이나 아니 윤디지 사면 방도고요 제자디 지리버 방제 방바자 마세 아니 진지 말로 그랬다 제가 동ning 웃음 떠서 박외 주지로 담지 치지 말라고 그랬다. 그 참말이다. 원시나 로 참만 참말해. 박외 주라 로디 참만 치지 말라고 그랬다. 나도 이제 세부 차송하다.
So then it goes on to talk about the next sentence. Suchness in the minds of those who are not Buddhas, but who directly perceive the truth, is the opposite of that, which means that it has not completely abandoned defilements, but has abandoned some of the seeds of defilement, and therefore is not with error, or you could say not mistaken. So these beings who are not yet fully enlightened, yet have seen the truth, they are, it says the opposite, that they're not mistaken. So this includes the hearers and solitary realizer arhats, because they have abandoned the obscurations to liberation, or the cognitive, the afflictive obscurations. They've abandoned the afflictive obscurations. And so in this way, they've abandoned some of these seeds. They've abandoned these obscurations. And so they are said to be unmistaken in the sense that they have a genuine valid cognition. So their valid cognition is unmistaken.
다드네 대 숨바데 산제시오레 디신식 바데 산제데 디신식 바스 디신식 바스도 디신식 바스 디신식 바스에 찍디 비 거주 첨부해서 디신식 바스 디신식 바라야 돼 유로와 유교와 아니 소남이 초다 이시기 초다 다 장죽 셈다 잉제다 동반이다 주주 공부라 때네 아니 데브 아니 추수 육구도서 토부여레스 디신식 바스 찍디 고전되래서 디신식 빼라도 디신식 빼스디 딘데 산제 되게서 그래 아니 지다와 식바스 지다와스 동반이래 동반이 식바 식바 탈도 베서 다 딜rel하고도 시가요 말에 산제에게 동반이 식바 딜rel하고 찍식도야요 말에 타도 왜 주지 디신식 다 치지 말라고 치지 말라고 유마 맛에 쪼바 매봤다 딘지기 쪼바 니나기 쪼바 탐제 시오래다 쪼바 매바 니 랍디 예베 네버스다 산제기 지초 어디서 산제 쪼바 니시 있어도 산제에 다 쪼바 탐제 시오래 쪼바 요마르다 베데 오늘 당내 되면시지게 강압에 요바 되면시지게 딜라 스웨산 요 릭자와니네 요마르다 쪼바
네, 쪼바디 타마디 서보고
쪼바스디 고 강 리얼리티 다그란 싱기르 메시지 딜라 파즈 주미지 남도게
오케이
스웨산요 그다 아니 딘지기 스웨산요다 이나 그 쪼바 당다 쪼바 탐제 네 시로고 열어
where did we get to? Here we go. So the next sentence, the suchness in the fully developed minds of the Tathagatas who see things as they are is free from error and elaboration. Deshin Shekpa. So this Tathagata, Deshin Shekpa in Tibetan, this has a very specific or significant meaning. Basically, it's a being who has done the two accumulations, the accumulations of merit and the accumulations of wisdom. So the practice of all the practices of bodhicitta and emptiness and so forth. And through these developing these two accumulations, they have then come to attain the four bodies of the Buddha. So these beings, these Tathagatas, are said to have the final understanding. So the suchness in these in the minds of these beings, right, is said to be completely not only unmistaken but also free from elaborations. So what is meant by this, right? Now these elaborations, elaborations is like elaborations towards belief in mistaken conduct or true existence or inherent existence or anything like that. That's all elaboration. So essentially they see the nature of reality completely clearly without any of these wrong views or you could say any of these elaborations towards mistaken conduct or true existence or anything like that. So this is what's meant when it's free from error and also elaboration.
Tadi troba seyadirwa, troba nishi seyadi, di nganzo, di gana samlo tsikdi samlo tana ya goyore. Tanda, nganzo troba seyadi dila goyore. Troba mewa silabdi. Pena nganzo semgrwa, nganzo mijigi chiglabi ina. Kesan larda, kesan kinimi, che pe doja rosh tu labi ina. Wa choran doja tu sik chiglabi ina. Wa kesan tu dange mara, nganzo tiring midi ngade lagu to semna la ta mandamangmo so ngade le milap ti pha lagore te nga chu di lagre de pa lu se shibje so do nganzo o de le troba so troba chik ane chik yor da pe chik share chik duja chik share da de ane midi chu ngade so nge pha de so den se ane semna la mangbo chik pha ba troje ane kanza ni mo go je de do 먼저 troba troba sido pa chigi ju nyushu sumju ngap ju gyatinde soje wa chig inde sogoyo chedan sanje la chigdi chigran reme shoji chigdi ni da nga da ju soye yo marda troba nirshi se de chigdi gan la samlo de stana ya goyo.
So this trippa, this elaboration, we need to sort of think about this and understand what this is. So an example of this is, let's say somebody said something to you yesterday, right? And you didn't like it and you held on to that and you thought about it again and again and again and went over it in your head and thought about all the ways you were going to say this and that to them. This is a liberation, right? It's going over these things, in your head again and again, like holding on to them, and then not only holding on to them, but multiplying them, right? So people do this. They turn what is one thing into 10 things, into 20, into 100, to the point that, many people can't even sleep because their minds are so busy with this elaboration, right? So we make these things, we multiply these things and make them bigger and so forth. So an enlightened being like the Buddha doesn't do this at all. Like if one thing's one thing, that's it. He doesn't make it into 2 or 10 or elaborate on it at all. It's just is what it is.
다들 단어마 무트제 검 잡도이나 아니 무트제 검 잡도이나 아니 스스 옥중 검 잡요 뉴자가라 아니 간담질라 이 주미지기 남도 되게 가런다 봐 주미지기 남도 지 대베 마옹바 저 상마가 심고란 다대베 심 세리기 차코란 거라 심 내용인데 먼저 니나게 그 주미지기 쪼바디게 싫어 쪼바라고 봐 troba rago to shiru gorda tela dewaji yorda tela 시와 대화직 요르다 우중 곰디하고 야고 있는 네개 틱딜라다 거전다 하는 거네 펜도 요래 아니 하고 그래다 아지다디 레레다 네도 우중 곰자 요네디 대외 예삼다야디 대화 차산 요래 다디 마음바 삼다야 하고 하거나 다 대화다 마음바나 말어 네 심디 다다베 거랑가나 대운디 아니 대외 쪼바다 마음베 쪼바 시부르다 말한절 쪼바 시버디 때때지 용아 요르당한절 곰제가 있느라 네가 아니 신두 다지 용사래로 지 곰지겸나다 지 용사래 삼삼질레나 아니 신두 야고 교란서다 곰망고 자고 요래 칸도망고 지고 요래 지 배전 지고 요래 인자 나 딘데간에 아니 직심 틱 딘데지간에 삼런당제 아니 수셈나라 다 용사르다 지 용사르다 남도데 매와 지 차사래 삼야중나 아니 곰 쪼바세 쪼바라야디 컨데스 쪼고도 쪼바 매와 컨데 차고도 네간 삼다운데 uk중우 곰 잡잡잡데네 추미지 쪼바데 매와 차도 거다
알레디 드라워레로 오케이
쪼바라과레
아 락바 오케이 right 라서 tunchi so those, who've done meditation, maybe did this calm abiding retreat or have had this experience of the point where, you get very focused on the breathing, for example, and you get this experience of the mind, like the thoughts settling, right? So this is an experience of ceasing of the gross elaborations, right? And the more you meditate if you develop up to the point where you can cut this belief in this mistaken method or this mistaken conduct. And this is cutting this gross, at this point you cut this gross elaboration, and this itself brings incredible benefit. This brings great benefit. If you don't have this grasping at this past and future, then this is very valuable. Like for us now, we still have these thoughts of past and future coming up, and we still get caught up in that. But if you can develop this meditation to the point where you can actually cut this belief in this mistaken method, then this is when you can actually get this experience of cutting this gross level of this elaboration.
강기 땡진 저와중 가고매와 깨매와 처음에와 다매와 원매와 좀 타대 되면지 쪼바니시 시된 봤어도 쪼바니시 다디 아니 군접지 최 도와다 원와다 깨와다 가고다 내와다 된데 가서 제게 내가디 단다 돈인 웃음도 떠거라 돈인 웃음 박박의 돈인 웃음도 아니 통남이 열어 돈인 웃음도 떠고 되게 ngol라 군접지 최 쪼바제요 맞다 디내가로야 단다 데네 더 신에 단다로 지 옥주무 고물을 저 내저로 때들레는 주미지 그 남도 좀 매우 차그러 데네 신에야 신에 톱나 아니 되베 되자다 녀몽 저바 디제데 매우 차로라 다 데네 돈인 무슨 도스나나 아니 돈인 무슨 도 별로데 냠샤데 ngol라 군접지 최지요 맞다 돈이미지 요 맞다 돈이미지 매우 인상 탈로디 숙청부 쉬지 차고 왔다 그러러 아니 네게다 디베님부 치되고 왔다 군다가 서면 방그러러 되네
건데 수면이시 가르래
수미지 그 남도 저바는 아주 옥중무 공자와 당보 당도 베직 당보 좀 당보 된 아주 옥중무 공자는 수미지 그 저바데 매버차 네야야야야야 냠는 체디 쯤 신에 톰나 아니 고네 되자 시다 콘도 되서 디네가블 요마레 다디야 곰잡 람잡 찬죽심 토네 돈이 무슨 도스나나 돈이 무슨 도 로딩 올라다 군접지 간서 용야단 도야단 데 나왔지 요마르다
So when you have this, it says here in this Heart Sutra, I'll just find it.
Heart Sutra 요마레
사와시럽 sorry 가리송디
사와시럽 취지는 강기 땡징 더 중서 가고매와 깨매와 가요 말 깨요 말 원요 말 도요 말 타대요 말 찍요 말 된데가서 제데 저번이 시시데 봐서도 강게 땡진 더 디치디 다 기타 첨부 쇼라 강게
So,
딘진 되와죠 가와메와 제메와 차와메와 따메와 와메와 좀
um,
타데 되면 되지 미색다 저원이 시대와 저것은 담아들 찾으러 오세요
okay, I can't remember all of that, but in the
된도 가서 제들랍션디
right, in the Root of Wisdom Sutra, it says it's free from coming and going.
근데 같이 치까지 컨트롤을 신유나
Does anybody remember it? Production and cessation, birth, arising and cessation. Different and same. That's 6. There's 8. So we're short 2. 1. And we've had that one. But anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good. There you go. Okay, so anyway, these, when you have this direct, thanks, Jen, bailed me out there. So when you have this direct realization of emptiness, then you're free from these 8, I don't know, I guess you could say elaborations there. But this is a gradual process, right? First of all, you have to go past this relative elaboration. So there's a step there. So first of all, when you meditate like an ordinary being would meditate, and you get this point where you become very focused on your object, say it's the breath, to the point where this thoughts don't arise. At that point, within the meditation anyway, you've cut this, the belief in this mistaken method, right? And then you develop up and you develop further and you develop calm abiding. And at this point, there's no basis for the delusions to arise. There's no base. Manifest, sorry. Yeah. There's no basis, there's no opportunity for the delusions to manifest. And so then you develop more and more, and then you develop emptiness. A direct realization of emptiness. And at this point, nothing else appears except this. In the meditation, nothing else appears except this emptiness. It's the only thing that appears, this emptiness or this suchness. And at this point, it becomes the antidote to all the stains, this direct realization of emptiness.
대체 다 될라서도 저 전주 단답값이 시에서디 댄숨디스니 전주 셈바 파고남 이메서와 이나야 단답 파고시에데 파고시에 남자 년도에다 란제도스 되는 누구래서 다른 인간중에 시에서 디렉트.
Okay. So just the next sentence here, well, the next paragraph actually, it states Arya refers here to mainly Bodhisattva Aryas, but other Aryas can be included in the second category. Is that clear just there? Do we need to explain? No, it's fine. Okay.
디시시베 컴런지고 예원 넘버 숨 타데바 아니 타데 덴버리고 차데 스탠드 쇼르 덴 타데 와 타데 덴버리고 차다 고덴 수수 교워체 파과체 산제체 도스체네
okay.
디 주베 덴데 타데바 숨 요레스 디시베치 덴버레라.
So then it says, in the categories of manifestation, the basic element of the Tathagata is taught to be these 3 distinct types. Distinct is... Yeah, distinct is good for that.
Kana denas lavra, no, kane tembaresna, and then the Sheraji parade chimbaso, Tishin, Musun Dogolas, number midway, Ishi, Yukon number thumbs. Tishin do turn down by Shev, Sherjin, door. So then
it goes on, like, this instruction is found in the perfection of wisdom and so forth, the gateway to the non-conceptual exalted wisdom of the direct realization of suchness, etc. So this is basically saying things like this Root of Wisdom Sutra and so forth is where you can find this explanation of this perfection of wisdom.
감대와시비 닝고데 네 다 신동소로지 샤용고를 따와데 단대데 동반이데 네 신동 말해서 신경 오 신이 동화된데 게 말해서 거라 다 동반이 생기는 주니 저러와 생기는 주니데 아니 최신이 동신 요든데 개 말해서 그런 거고 다 덴버트베 뭐 랑그 랑동 샤고래 단다 어디 시고래
Okay, so
이제 두다스스 다 제제 나와 된다면 되게 저바데스 토바지리 여러 되는 근데 줄마듬 나나 샤시 우즈마자 디워드마도 이데스 타고 요래 디 야고 줄마듬나 야고 야마
okay. So talking about when we talk about this too, this rangtong and shentong, so for the benefit of self and the benefit of others, basically. So it said that this relative aspect is for the benefit of others, and this emptiness or suchness is for one's own benefit. And it clarifies this, saying that the emptiness of the mind is not for the benefit of others. It's not a way to benefit others. It's to understand in your own mind. It's for for the benefit of self. Sorry, not one's own benefit, for the benefit of self.
랑동사 the benefit is 주고래 주동사
Tong benefit?
그래 동바스도 매버다 benefit is the 편도요 고 말해
Oh, meaning maybe. Rang tong.
아래 다디
Oh, sorry, rang ton or tong.
동바
Oh,
덴버트베
sorry,
동
not
benefit is another
emptiness.
better process
So the emptiness of self and the emptiness of others, not the benefit of self and the benefit of others. So it's this. So then
다디 샤시디 영상 말 다디 원래 숨부 관심나 릭타데 셰어데 숨부데 가레 셰위는 마 제어로 셰고로 디니 셰워자데 델라 친질로 당 제원이 집어남기 디시니다 하세 다단다 내가 타데 숨샤송 봐 릭주베 된델라 타데 숨샤야데 디신이 다 동반이 될라야 아니 친질로 당 제원이 집어남기 집어서 봐 집어서도 부춘중서 거라 당하서 돈이 무슨 마다니 정말 부춘주 나지 부춘주 명다자라 네 명대 라오쇼다 집어 부춘주도 지리 마대는 우레 와 콘솔라 제모제야 된데 마대는 우르 와 디나시 가서 돈이 무슨 마다니 미 그저 돈다 친주 된데 저 잡제 아니 돈다 친주 된데 첨부 써야지 아니 이 돈다라 거로 코디기요 인자 콘솔라 집어서 명대 하고 싶다도
So, then it goes, what are these three, right? It is like this: in error, not error, perfectly freed from error and without elaboration, as we just went over. It is explained in error refers to the suchness of ordinary foolish beings. Cheaper,
ordinary love
no, cheaper foolish. It's more like childish. If you want the literal translation, it's cheaper is more like childish. So childish is a good analogy here because, like children who stamp their foot whenever and cry and get upset whenever things go slightly not the way they want. This is how
reason it was small. They didn't go to chocolate, they began to cry. They didn't tour, they began to cry.
Right. So they cry very easily over very small things. And so this analogy of these children, is used for ordinary beings such as ourselves, because we get incredibly upset about things that are pretty much irrelevant, really. And so this is why these beings who haven't had this non-Arya beings, these ordinary beings, are said to be childish.
좀 된데 산제 남제스니 되나 딱 ngöy 내주디 신라 ng저 ngöy 내주디 ngaranzo sanada nga lob종 제가 시우신교에서 nga제여라 좀 된데 ng도 저랑서 보고 싶은 집을
So like a Buddha who of course has all this clear understanding and all these qualities, right? What we think we're very clever because we know just a few little things. We think, I'm so clever, I know all about a couple of things, and we walk around like we're super awesome. But compared to like a Buddha, right? From what the Buddha knows,
Buddha said, Buddha give name. You don't proud, right? Ego. You are childish. You are childish. They said my name. Buddha understand. 제가 다디 금진 시에다. 김제 가래에서는 집어나 미다고서 실라 딱 봐서 뒤시봐.
Right.
뭐라? 미다고서 딱봐 미다고 딱 봐라. 미다고 딱 봐지.
Yep.
미자와라 짱와지. 대화만 발라 대화디.
Clean.
아니 어디로 봐 짠데 딱다 시디. 들어와.
Yeah.
딱다 시세야들.
Self.
안 되자라서 왜 군의 녀망배 셈당 두시 신질로기 셈배 퇴연라 쇠징 대외 원벌의 셈바 따위기 친질로 임베체스도 김제데르다.
So, why is this, right? Like, why is this label of childish given to ordinary beings? Well, it says here, of the four recognitions, these beings have the recognition of impermanence as permanence, and so forth. So forth being, so permanent as impermanent, clean, that which is unclean is clean, that which is suffering as happiness, and that which is selfless as possessing self. So these are these four, and so forth. Their minds are heavily afflicted by desire. They long for and willingly accede to objects apprehended by their erroneous recognition, and with such grasping, their views are in error. So this is why it's said to be an error, why ordinary beings like us are said to be in error, and also why we're said to be childish.
그래 말한저다 뭐 단당원에 마심바 가래라는 먼저 심디 삼로 신다강 당겨래 배나 나스 삼당스나나 남사코라 나스 삼당스나나 네 계산하게 나다 드링하다 상마 찍버다오지 삼당으로 왕은저 뒤다고지 말이다 나 박바단 산책이 되는 동거요 말이야 그 단당 나디 줘로 깨지 그저 배뚝 잡된 저 취저가 다 죽도거나 죽도지 하고 그요래 당 안주 가려서는 안주 탁보지와 시야면 요 탁보지 인생이요라디 딱보지면 다그라래 다그라는 게 왜대 개와 전부 죽상하러
So look at this. We hear something and we impute, or we think about something and we add all this other meaning, or we think about another meaning. So, for example, when we think about I, like me, we think this I today is the same as it is yesterday, right? We have this very strong kind of view of the self being permanent. Where in reality, that's not the case. The I we have is moment by moment changing. But we have this strong grasping, like this truck ball, like intense maybe truck ball, intense kind of grasping at this self as being I as being permanent.
어디지? 나디네 뒤치고치 딜레 독바스라. 다 딜레 독바스디 수수교 딜레 독바디 진지 말로고니 파고남디에세니. 친질로디 뭐 빵콘저 빵버레스다 파고에기 친질로디 빵버레스. 나 콘졸 내단데 요 말에 가지고다. 내단 벨로고레 파고르스데 치벌레 겨와데 파고레스. 김정 가르스나 콘저 친질로디 빵버레스다.
So why are they called these beings? So I'll read it first. The Aryas are not in error because they are opposite of that and have even abandoned some of these errors. So Arya is often sometimes translated as noble, which in this case is quite good. So why are they said to be noble? Because they are not mistaken, right? They have abandoned some of these wrong, mistaken ways of, some of these errors. And because of that, they're said to be the opposite of these ordinary beings. Or the reason they could be said to be noble is because of having abandoned these errors. And then perfectly, suchness of the perfect Buddhas is perfectly free from error and elaboration. So if you completely or perfectly abandon these errors or mistakes, then you're enlightened or a Buddha. Yeah, we have one question here. Please explain the sixth and seventh power after having the five powers. So Yanden Dun. So what is the difference? Yanden Dun di tambo nga di ngoshi nga tang di tama ngoshi tamani.
tamani di ngoshi mare.
So di tambo no shinga tandi tamani keba kari
hagodo. Mushinga di she di lata susu jubu jule yore. Mushinga di semjin jule yore wa. Sanje ju da semje changmal yore. Mushinga di 다 타마니 디 산제르미시 요마르다. 사관베베 이시다 대빵베 이시니스도아디 데 와디 랍도 와디 산제르미시 요마르.
So we can understand at first that these first 5 clairvoyances, I'll just read them out so that people, to refresh people's memory if you haven't, where are they? Oh, here we go. So the first 5 clairvoyances, miraculous emanation, the divine ear, knowing others' minds, knowing previous lives, and knowing birth and death. These 5 are in the minds of ordinary beings, right? Whereas both ordinary beings and Buddhas. Whereas the final 2 are only in the minds of Buddhas. So the clairvoyance knowing the extinction of contaminations and the extinction of contaminations themselves are only in the mind of fully enlightened beings.
네 사고세에 이시세들라 아니 뭐시 임바다 마임바다 참 망고요래 산제기 시바 탐제 뭐시 인생 말와 뭐시 제가 사고세에 이시세들라 산제기 세기 이시 산제기 세기 시바들라 사고세에 이시다 코데버시나 산제기 살이에 시바들라 사고세에 이시라고 해요.
Okay, mind of Buddha. Okay. So within these first 5, you could say those are actually clairvoyant powers, right? These first 5 are clearly clairvoyant powers. Within the 6th one, there's the aspects of clairvoyant powers, and then there's aspects that aren't clairvoyant powers. So to understand it in a simple to understand way, you could think of the 6th one, the clairvoyance knowing the extinction of contamination, as the mind of the Buddha, right? You could say that, understand that as the Buddha's mind.
다 투보 듬바디 사고 세바세디 디 딜라코레 가서 고된라 산제지 고된 디 셰발 거야 뭐시 뭐시 제요만 딜 듬바딜라 사고 세바세디 고된 산제지 고된.
Right. And then the 6th one, seventh one. You could which is the extinction of the contaminations. You could understand this as the truth of cessation. So this is not. Oh, sorry, the truth of cessation within the continuum of a Buddha. So this is not a clairvoyant power. This is the truth of cessation within the continuum of Buddha is permanent and not a clairvoyant power.
No question.
Number 6, the clairvoyance knowing the extinction of contamination burns away the fire with a power and affliction.
Okay.
That might have been clairvoyance in the mind of an Arab being on the way to
Okay, so this number 6, the clairvoyance knowing the extinction of contamination is likened to heat because it burns away the firewood of karma and affliction. So wouldn't this be more in the mind of an Arya being rather than a Buddha? Okay. Path of seeing. Okay. So the Trukpadira. Yeah, the Tro Dravare or Me Dravare. The Chat Nangla Sungire the Tro Dravare, heat Dravare. Yeah, Kayan Sena, the Letang Nyomong, like Mebuso, Megi,
Sagwase, Nyomoro, Nyumo Mevati, Nimo Mevaso.
Very Nyoma Mebusogere. You know, and the Nyoma Meba Sona, then it Pakbai Gangsa, Pena Tonglam, the Sangi Chibu.
Then the Sagwase Ishi said, Nyumo Jigola, Nyumola Javina, Sagwa said, Nyumo Jigol Javina. Any Dajumbar, when you do Dajumar, and your Dajumar, yours, Tonlam da Duzela Yomare, Consigil Numo Seve Yomare. Sagwa Seva Sadi, Dajumbar, Dajumbo Horeda. Sanjay Limbe Choyo Mareda.
So the Niendo Drajamba di Yore.
Nindo Drajamba Yore, Ranje Drajamba Yore, Sakwa Seva Ishila.
Sakrisigi. Okay, so
Sanjile Yorwati.
So with this clairvoyance knowing the extinction of contamination, the hero and solitary realizer arhats have this, and then the Buddha has this, right? So these three, but path of seeing,
meditation
they don't have, right? But the hero and solitary realizer arhats do have it. So it's only arhats, that have this. Because it's sakpa knowing, so it's this extinction of contaminations. Only arhats have the extinction of contaminations, right? Only arhats, and obviously Buddha's being as well.
Is there a question? Another question? No. Okay. You have finished? The jail the Dunda Jema the Dinema Dexlo Tanda the Tanda Tade or Tanegap Yewa said Dinema Jije. Dinema Dexlosion and Dilla Jime, that when you go there, the share with the Dinema.
Okay, so we'll go over this. Well, it's translated as state here. It's number 7, Nyekabyewa, but it's almost like a relative division. So if you read about that and understand, because it will help you to understand emptiness. Nyekyab.
Gom Jamna Chanzo, da Ninang Trobasa, the Gom Jabje, Ukjung, Gom Jabje, and this is Jula, Sumiji, Namdo, Nurdo, Mardo, Dana, Manzo de Nichigoda, Dangala, Sembabe, Chambanga, Sembe, the Momento, Danga, Karchura, the Tinjo Marwa. Sem Kani, Kora, Kukju Jab, the Kora Yedo. Anga de do, that did do, Zangamaju do, that ding us some Mambo Korgudo, Karchura, Santana, did you know this Indigora? Till some Madame Bache, Susu Uju, Gomjab, Samapa Shigdo, right? She said they were
So yeah, through the meditation you want to be trying to settle the elaboration. So we're doing the breathing and settling the mind, but you don't want to get caught up in this thinking of, I've got to get this mind really clear, and I'm keep on getting distracted, and I'm not good, I'm not meditating properly. Because this in itself becomes a type of grasping, right? It becomes like, you grasp at that, and it kind of increases this mental activity. So what you want to do is be settling the mind and trying to relax it and get away from this belief in this mistaken activity or conduct or method, and try and get more clarity for the mind.
No, that is so.
Okay, so we'll stop here.
Nam Dakshin La Chopa Shok, Jetsun La Me Kutse Rab Ten Ching, Nam Kachin Le Cho Chuge Padang, Lo San Tempe Jo Me Sasumgi, Jo We Mun Sao Tak Tu Ne Gyu Chik, Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. Due to the merit of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Whatever slight positive potential I may have created by paying homage, offering, and acknowledging my faults, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddhas stay and teach, I now dedicate all this for full awakening. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the King of Dharma, Tsongkhapa's way of Dharma practice flourish. May the omens of obstacles be pacified, and all the conducive circumstances be complete. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Saviour of the snowland teachings and transmigratory beings, who makes extremely clear the path that is unification of emptiness and compassion, to the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. You who uphold the subduous moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjana's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, Saviour of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. By relying on the two accumulations of myself and others in the three times, may the teachings of the conqueror Losang Dragpa blaze for a long time.